Welcome to Team 1EV, and in this video we're going to install the all-new A-pillar kit on this Rivian behind me. Follow us, let's get rolling. If you are new to the off-road market, the Morimoto 4Bangers are the best in aftermarket lighting. These are the brightest off-road pod lights. Team 1EV is no stranger to the best in aftermarket lighting. The founder and CEO of Team 1EV used to be the CEO of Morimoto Lighting, so it's no wonder they're doing this mashup, the best lighting with the best aftermarket electric vehicle parts. Now I want to show you guys exactly how to install this because they have specifically designed this kit for Rivian owners. We have created a kit that uses this wireless controller that then controls these, so no more passing wires through the firewall and into the cab of the vehicle. This has revolutionized this aftermarket kit. The 4Bangers have two different colors. So first thing you got to decide, do you want a white driving beam pattern or do you want a yellow driving beam pattern? They also have three different beam patterns. They have a spot, a combo, and a wide beam pattern. The coolest part is they are always coming out with new off-road pod lights, and they are having a flood beam pattern as well. It's not out quite yet, but when that comes out, we definitely recommend it for lighting up your campsite on the sides of your vehicles. You don't necessarily want a flood beam pattern right in front of you. That's actually going to blind you when you're driving down the road. If it was up to me, I would probably recommend a combo driving beam pattern for this specific install. Best part about this kit is it's completely customizable. That means you don't even have to just run the Morimoto 4Bangers. Morimoto has been busy designing off-road pod lights that will suit the needs of everybody. There are 1Bangers. The 1Banger looks like this. It's a really small pod light, so if you want more aerodynamics and more range in your vehicle, you might want to go with this. Something that's just as sleek, just two of these attached to each other, is this here. This is a 2Banger. This is the Morimoto 2Banger, and both of these will have all four beam patterns right out of the box. So if you wanted the spot, combo, wide, or flood, these are available with that. There's also another one called the Big Banger, which is essentially Morimoto's party piece. It is the biggest pod light that Morimoto makes, and it is the world's brightest in the spot beam pattern. We're not just slapping some aftermarket garbage on this Rivian. It's a brand new truck. That's the last thing we want to do. Let me talk about the harness really quick, and then we're going to get to the install. All right, let's breeze through this. This is the relay harness this kit comes with. It has a relay that's going to get mounted under the cowl. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Then it's got a Deutsch connector. This is a 2-pin Deutsch connector, and it says light 1 and light 2, and it really doesn't matter if you put this on the driver's side or the passenger side. One goes to one goes to the other. They're the exact same size. If you need some extra extension, which in this case we don't, they do have two different extensions that come in this kit. So it really does help out if you wanted to mount this relay somewhere else. The rest of these wires, we've got a red and a black wire. These are the positive and negative battery terminals. We'll show you how to install that. And then there's this other barrel connector. This barrel connector will allow you to connect this right here, which is going to be the wireless signal for your wireless remote. So all you gotta do is push this on, line up the keyway, and tighten down the barrel connector. This is now going to receive that signal from this remote that's included in the kit. No more do you have to pass these wires through that firewall and drill into your brand new electric vehicle. It's the last thing you want. The other things that are included in this kit is the U-bracket. This U-bracket gets mounted onto this with some bolts that are all included in this kit. So let me show you guys how to do this really quick. And then you choose your Morimoto 4Banger and install this onto this bracket kit. Go to our website, go to the drop-down menus to see all of the different configurations you can choose when mounting your off-road pod lights to this bracket. The tools needed for this install are a T30 Torx bit. You're gonna need a 17mm wrench, just like this. Then you're gonna need a 13mm socket and a 10mm socket, and that's all it takes to get this installed. So let's first pop the frunk to get this install completed. Push the button down here and work your way to the plastic cowl up here. This plastic cowl is not held in by any screws, bolts, or anything. So all you gotta do is reach down here, pry it up, and work your way to the other side. Pry it up, and then carefully remove it and set it aside. Now we're gonna remove this plastic piece around the cabin filter here. All you have to do is lift it up, no tools again, and set it aside. Now this exposes that 12-volt battery so you can connect those two eyelets, the positive and negative battery terminals. So let's first mount the relay and the positive and negative battery terminals. Locate this right here. We're gonna take this cover off, and there's a few different push tabs on the side, so if you need to use a pick or something to pry those in, you sure can. Once the tabs are loosened up, you can remove this cover. We're gonna install the positive and negative battery terminal first. It's going to be right here. I'm gonna mount the negative battery terminal right here. So remove those two 10mm bolts, put the positive right here, tighten down that bolt that you just removed, put the negative right here, and then tighten down that bolt you just removed. Next, we're gonna mount the relay itself. Now this needs to be mounted upright and you can put it anywhere you desire. I'm actually just gonna take a zip tie and put it right here. It does hold it pretty well. If you wanna secure it down just a little bit more, you sure can do that. Now on this harness, we've got that light 1 and light 2 like I was talking about. We're gonna run light 1 to the passenger side. It doesn't matter which one goes to where. Just be cautious, do not run this wiring along this area if there's something that moves. So right down here, I see the wiper linkage. I do not wanna wrap this around that. Please just be careful. We're gonna route this down carefully and we're gonna zip tie it up later once we get the 4-bangers mounted. Before I make my way to the sides, I'm gonna put this terminal cover back on, lock it in place. And I might as well put this air box back together too. Careful where you mount your relay because you don't want the relay to get in the way of this seating down properly. All right, so the last wire on this relay harness is this right here. This is for that wireless remote. Now what I'm gonna do is just simply bunch this up nicely. I'm gonna zip tie it and just mount it right over here. For this video, I'm gonna make it easy so you can see. I'm gonna do it right here. But like I said, you can mount these wherever you'd like. As long as it's out of the way of anything that moves, you're good to go. Now for the fun part, we get to install these brackets on each side of this hood. There are two 13mm bolts. We are going to have to fully remove these nuts. However, you are gonna want a friend to do this because this hood is going to shift. Because that hood is going to shift, I do want to put some tape on the side of it and mark it with a marker or a pen, because the last thing I want to do is put this on crooked, then you push the button to close the frunk and it comes down and it mars up your fender or something. It's the last thing you want. So we're gonna make sure that we align this properly by grabbing some tape. Painter's tape is a good solution. I didn't find any today, but I do got some duct tape. I'm just gonna carefully set it along the side right here. And then I'm gonna take a knife and carefully, I'm going to cut it. I did notice that there's some marring on these screws and there were some scratch marks because they didn't use the tape, they just kind of scratched it previously. That's the last thing we recommend here. What we wanna do is carefully use this knife now and cut this tape, slit it right here. This is a brand new vehicle. We do not wanna ruin this. Gently, we're going to slide this down here and cut the tape. Now, grab your friend to hold the hood. We're gonna remove those two 13mm nuts. I like to start with the back one. And to get to this one, you might need to lower it just a little bit. Now you can grab that metal bracket. I'm going to be putting this from this side of the hood. However, this is designed to be so close to the hood because we want good aerodynamics. The last thing we want to do is have this be the cause of our range getting lower. So we're gonna go put this here. If you need to, because it's close to the hood, you can put some painter's tape on the back side here. I've done this a lot of times, so I don't need to at this point. We're gonna just be careful. Now put those two bolts back down, don't tighten them all the way, because we got to adjust the hood and make sure it's straight. If your two black lines are lined up, tighten it down. Now you can remove that tape and clean it up if you need to. This is where you get to see this kit come together. We're gonna install the U-bracket first and then the banger of your choice. First thing I wanna do is set this on here. Now we're just going to get it hand tight. We're not gonna tighten it down all the way because we want to adjust this later. If you get, say, the wide beam pattern and you want it to show the ditches when you're driving down the road at the campsite or wherever, then maybe you want it to be aimed out this way. Morimoto actually recommends that the combo and the spot beam pattern cross over in the center. So back up your truck maybe 50 feet and cross over those two beam patterns so you can get a really intense light output. We're gonna set it right here. We'll do all of that aiming later. Locate this bolt that's in the kit and put it from the top side down. Just like that. Now grab your washer and that 17mm nut and tighten it down. Like I said, just hand tight for now is fine. Now one special specific design to our kit at Team 1 EV is this little rubber cap right here. This kind of just makes your 4-banger A-pillar kit a little bit more blacked out by covering this bolt right down here. So it's kind of neat, and in my opinion, it should have been included in everything I've ever seen from Morimoto in the past. We're not going to install that quite yet because we do have to tighten them down later on. I just wanted to show you. Now you can grab your 4-banger. In this case, we've got a white HXB. HXB is the higher level, the higher power level than the NCS. So if you see NCS and it's cheaper, just note that that is their entry level, the NCS. HXB is much more expensive. However, that is their brightest flagship pod. So this is their brightest flagship pod with the white lens. So we're shooting white. HXB uses Osram chips, which are intense. They are super bright. And this lens right here is a combo driving lens. So the combo lens is really gonna give you that hot spot with a little bit of fill on each side. So I'm gonna use this for the ditch lights. I'm gonna put it on here, and we're gonna tighten down our two bolts on each side of this U-bracket. Using a T30 Torx, you can adjust this. Again, we're not going to tighten it down all the way because you now have the vertical adjustability with these 2 Torx pins. Now I'm going to raise the hood and plug this in. Now we're simply going to plug it into that light 2 Deutsch connector right here that we originally had ran. So we're just going to plug it in, and like I said, we'll zip tie it all up later. Now do the exact same thing on the other side over there. All you got to do is mount that bracket, mount that off-road pod light, and then make sure that your hood is closing properly. Zip tie up all of this wiring around something that's not moving, zip tie it up, put that plastic cowl back on, and you're done. That's all it takes to install this all new kit for your Rivian. Now, as you can see, the install is super easy. You can do it in less than 10 minutes. Now, get your wireless remote, push the A, and watch how instant it lights up. This is the most instant on, instant off wireless remote I've ever seen for something like this. Now, we are not strangers to the aftermarket lighting world. We are also not strangers in the aftermarket parts when it comes to electric vehicles. We create running boards and interior upgrades. We've got carbon fiber mud flaps and so much more. Check out our website and more importantly, see what else we've got for your vehicle when it comes to aftermarket parts.